So the Dallas Cowboys, valued at $10 billion, which I would have to say,
that's crazy.
Yes, I would. But $10 billion with a B dollars. I've tried to do the valuation of Tennessee football. It's much more difficult since they're a federal institution or state institution. Caleb, but what do you think Tennessee football would be worth? $200 million is their annual budget. I think you're talking about $3, $4, maybe even $5 billion if it were a business. Am I crazy on that? Am I too high?
No, because here's the thing with the Dallas Cowboys is while they're valued at $10 billion, there's this backing of NFL TV deals that college football just won't sign, that if Tennessee were out on their own, they could sign for themselves, quite honestly. If Tennessee were publicly traded, I mean, I don't think Dallas is, but if you get secure investors, there would be a lot of investments in Tennessee. I would easily
there already has in some sense NIL, right?
There have been. There absolutely have been. That 200 million number, guys, ain't all the money that's being spent for Tennessee. Okay, you have money being thrown at the program from investors, from boosters, from donors, from business people that want to see this program succeed extremely well so they can go to their offices in Nashville on Monday morning and talk to their other coworkers who graduated from Florida and Alabama and say, my team won over the weekend. That's how this works with boosters, right, Dave? Most of the time.
Yes.
Is they care the thing they care about most is having bragging rights when they walk into work on Monday morning. And they will throw some serious money at the program to do that. Now, Tennessee does have, look, the issue with all college programs is this. There is I'm a fan of this, but it does hurt your value. Every stadium's got a giant block reserved for a group of people in college that are just straight broke, known as students.
Right.
So it ain't like they can spend a ton of money on tickets to go to those games. And that does become a problem in terms of valuation because every single seat at an NFL stadium now is reserved for the 1%ers in this country. But, the universities have to, those pesky, regular middle-class students going to college, not making a ton of money, they got to reserve some seats for those guys. And so that holds back some of their value.
Portions of the program brought to you by Apex Apparel Group Design. 15% off your first order. Apex Apparel, but they do so much more. A one-stop shop for all brand supply products, not just clothes. Design, brand, and market your way. Unique products to promote your business with unparalleled customer service. A full on-brand supply company. You can call Tyler at 865-919-3001 below, and they will take care of your business or your spirit wear needs. 865-919-3001. Right down below. Tennessee's value is going to go up because of mandatory changes that they had to make to compete with the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world who are going to have on-field sponsors, who many will have like Kroger Field, where they'll lose the name of their school. Tennessee knows they have to generate revenue, and they're out ahead of the game. So while you and I may have had our qualms about certain issues with the Pilot and Tennessee agreement, I'll say this, and I think you would agree, something like that had to happen revenue-wise.
In this age of NIL, yes. And maybe I shouldn't speak so out of turn with it because I support athletes getting paid. I mean, I always have and I always will. And if this much money is thrown around to pay athletes, so be it. So I do agree. And whenever you produce content, you rely on advertisers and partnering with companies. So I can't hate it too much. So I agree they're ahead of the curve. I just feel like they could have done a few things a little differently. Maybe not build a giant Marriott in front of Neyland Stadium to obstruct it from the river. That's going to be my
do you have more of an issue with that than you do the Neyland Stadium Pilot?
Yes, I have more of an issue with that than I do the Pilot thing. I have more of an issue with that than I do the Neyland Entertainment District, period. I have more of an issue with that than I do the Food City at Thompson Bowling. Now, they should have contacted the Thompson and Bowling families. I will give you that. But my issue, I want to say it, guys. I wouldn't have even minded the Marriott obstructed Thompson Bowling because, spoiler alert, Thompson Bowling Arena is kind of an eyesore from the outside. It ain't a pretty looking arena.
Let me ask you this one. They can increase their valuation by, and they're going to do this, by having a corporate sponsor for Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Now, Lindsey Nelson, I understand, is a broadcaster, but his name is synonymous with UT Athletics almost to the extent of General Neyland. Not quite on that level, but for those that know history, which I know Caleb does, do you have a problem with Lindsey Nelson being renamed? Because that's going to happen.
Not as much, but I will say that's I do because of my appreciation for what radio brought to the sport to the sport. And for those who don't understand, radio broadcast is actually what helped make SEC football and sports such a big deal across the country. And go back and check out my history of SEC bias video. The thing that made Southern football popular was the 1926 Rose Bowl, when Alabama was the first Southern team that wasn't an academic school like Tulane to go play in the Rose Bowl. They beat Washington, and that was the first radio broadcast Rose Bowl game. And Alabama, everybody in the South was listening to that game on the radio. So from that, I would have a problem with it, but I would understand it. I'll tell you what would make me madder. Here's what I'm really scared of, Dave. What if they change the name of the court at Thompson Bowling from the Summit? What if they take Pat Summitt's legacy away?
Oh, I think it's a matter of time till it's the Summit brought to you by.
Oh my gosh. See, that's going to be a problem. And that's going to be something that bothers me because Pat Summit's a different story altogether. That is a different story altogether. I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest figures in the history of sports, even though I wasn't crazy with how, take away her illness, I wasn't crazy with how she ran some things towards the end of her time at Tennessee. I thought she made some mistakes, but she still is the epitome.
Well, but here's the thing that you have to remember, and I appreciate what you're saying, but I did find a valuation, which I want to go through really quickly. This according to the NFL, NFL.com. So the top 20, Forbes actually announced this. So I'm going to see if I can pull this up. You might be able to help me, might not, Caleb. Let me know if you can, because I'm having some struggles here. But you do have, okay. So you have Texas comes in at number one, worth 139 million. That's with 109 million in revenue and 82 million in profit. So here's what I'm going to do for the sake of this argument and the fact that Tennessee seems to be selling out a lot of its things. I've got Florida at number 6. I've got Alabama at number 2. I've got Georgia at number 8. We're continuing to go down the list as far as evaluations of stadium according to Forbes.com. So I'm glad I found this list. It took me a little longer than I thought. I got Wisconsin, with Washington going 16, 17. Maybe we'll do more on this tomorrow. South Carolina at 18, Tennessee at 20. So according to Forbes, Tennessee is not comparable to the elite football programs that it is competing against. So, Caleb, this changes my view in what Pilot and Tennessee is doing and what they may do with Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Listen, they're not in the ballpark, according to this Forbes report. Their team values $63 million. Start talking about other programs, they're based off double that.
Well,
does that ever surprise you at all?
It does, but I got to take that with a grain of salt because I've covered the overall revenue programs in Tennessee. I do believe on that. Now it's actually dead link right now, unfortunately. But like 247 Sports in terms of revenue has Tennessee at number 8 right now entering 2024. College sports programs in general ranked by revenue, according to the USA Today revenue database, which always comes out, has Tennessee at, I want to pull it up now.
Well, now let me be real
number
clear.
8. Yeah.
Let me be real clear. My numbers are football only. They're not entire athletic budget. So I know what you're talking about with the USA Today. So Texas is number 1 at 139 million, according to this Forbes report. Notre Dame 2, 117 million. Alabama 3, 110 million. LSU 105 million comes in at number 4. Michigan 104 million. Florida 94 million. Oklahoma 92 million. Georgia 91 million. Ohio State 83 million. Again, just the football program, not talking about the entire athletic department, but it's going to be about 50% of it. Nebraska, number 10. At 12 is Auburn, just over 77 million. And then you have Arkansas at 74 million. Following that, you have Southern California at 73 million. Texas A&M at 72 million. Penn State, 71 million. Wisconsin, 70 million. Washington, 66 million. Then you have South Carolina at 65 million, Oregon at 64 million, Tennessee, number 20, at 63 million. To me, that offers a fantastic retort to your argument that Danny White is treating this like an up-and-coming program, because he's treating this like a program that's lagging behind its chief competitors in football financially.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, this is a Forbes estimation, guys, not a revenue tracker.
I agree.
Forbes, I'm not criticizing them. It's like I don't criticize recruiting services. They do what they can with their information on star ratings, but there's just some things they're not going to be able to quantify, right? When they give players star ratings, there's some things Forbes is not going to be able to quantify, and they quantify them, and there's estimations, and those estimations can be off. I'm just going to tell you straight up, not to like fake news this, but I don't believe this. I don't believe Forbes on this. I think they're misevaluating certain things related to Tennessee that we just can't see, and that they can't see. And I'm not blaming them. There's just some things they can't see related to the program.